Required skills to be a successful manager. My name is Guilherme and I'm a project management specialist. Today I'm going to talk about this topic in a little bit different perspective. Uh, there's a research from Indeed. Indeed, it's one of the most famous sites for jobs. And there's a research there showing what are the top skills that a manager should have to be successful. That's what you can see here in the screen. So that's 7 top skills accordingly with Indeed that are required to be a successful manager. There: communication and interpersonal skills, listening skills, relationship building skills, emotion intelligence, organization and project management, strategic thinking and decision making. Of course, the list is bigger with 21 skills, which I do not like those huge lists because I think in the end you end up with a kind of criteria or with a goal that's not attainable. Because if you have all those skills, or if for a list of 21 skills or even longer, it starts to be really hard to find something in reality. But I like those skills and I'm going to explain to you why. So if you're a manager, of course, one of your main goals there is to make sure that you have a clear goal for your team. They are working towards this common goal, and that should be clear for everyone. And you are there, of course, to remove impediments, to serve your team, to train them, to coach them, to organize the way that's going to be done. Make sure that you have this strategic view there, or this strategic thinking, and you take decisions when it's required from your side. And of course, organizing and project management kind of go together. But why this is so relevant and why I'm talking about that, because my topic is also, of course, is project management. It happens that for managers, it gets quite difficult to train all those skills before you get as a manager there and to learn all those skills. Mainly if you do not have knowledge with project management, if you do not have some project management related experience. I'm not saying that, of course, you need to be a project manager before you're promoted to a manager position. However, if you have the project management skills, it ends up that you can execute your job as a manager in an easier way. Because if I look here into a project management perspective, okay, what's your goal as a project manager? Of course, you organize things to your team. And when I'm talking about organization, I'm not talking about only or creating a hierarchy or assigning the work for people. But when you talk about organizations, you make sure that you have this clear common goal and that people understand, and they understand the why of this goal, and they start work towards this common direction there. And of course, so the organization project management skills, if you're working as a project management, you are going to end up, you need to develop your communication, interpersonal skills. If you want to be successful as a project manager, you need to develop your emotional intelligence, and you need to develop your listening skills, because in the end you're listening your team. Depending on the type of organization, you need to manage stakeholders, manage your team members. It's end up to be talking about relationship building, and of course strategic thinking and decision making. The thing is, those types of skills, they are not so straightforward to develop. Of course, you can develop an emotional intelligence in in anything that you do, but helping you to develop the strategic thinking and decision making, which are essentials if you want to be a good manager. It's not all the positions that are going to give you this chance. And of course, if you are trained and if you start to get experience with project management, you can end up developing those things. But I'm talking about project management if you want to be a manager, one of the skills. But let me first explain to you or try to give you some background why these kind of things pop up when you're looking for a manager. So first, short explanation. What's a project? Basically, a project, it's a temporary endeavor. Basically, that's for to develop or to create a unique product, service, or a result. So you have a beginning and an end. That's what you expect. And you can have different phases, and you can have different type of works. And that project can be a standalone project, or it can be inside of program. A program is basically different projects that are interconnected, then they need to work together to achieve a goal, and that's a program goal. And also a portfolio. A portfolio can have different programs and different type of projects. And also inside of that, you also can have operations there. This image here it's straightforward. But something that you need to think about, that every project is unique. And project management goes across all industries. So to give you some perspective, what is a project and what can be a project, let me show you some stuff. For example, well, the pyramids in Egypt, they were a project. The Colosseum in Rome, they were a project. Of course, the techniques that they used to build that and the project management has evolved since then. But in the end, those things, they were projects because they had a unique goal to build something that's very unique. But also, an iPhone, a new iPhone, that's a project. To build a new car or to create a new car. By the way, I worked in the project to develop this car here. Very nice one. This is a project. To develop a new factory or to create a new factory. This is a project. To create a new assembly line for something. This is a project. To create a new product like the Air Jordan in this case. This was also a product. To design it and to make sure that you have manufacturability and everything else. This is a product. To develop a new Rolex. This is a project. To build a new house. This is a project. To build a new mine. This is a project. By the way, I've worked in this mine here, expanding the power supply here. This is a project. To infrastructure, roads. Those are projects. A bridge, it's a project. To build a train, the train itself, to develop the new train itself, it's a project. Or to develop the infrastructure for the train. This is also a project. Energy, wind farm, this is a project. Solar farm, this is also a project. So energy transition infrastructure, it's also a project. And why I'm giving you all those examples? Few more here, like the World Cup. To organize the entire World Cup, this is a project. To organize the Olympics, like Paris 2024, this is a project. To create a movie, this is also a project. Of course, in the case of Star Wars, you could see this as a program. But yeah, in the end, this is a project. To create a movie like Rocky, this is a project. Braveheart, those are projects. And like create a book can be a project. All those developments in all those types of software, it can be Office, iOS, Android, Oracle, SAP, IBM, Watson, ChatGPT, all those things, they are or that have been projects or they were projects at some point. So projects are everywhere in basically in all types of industries, and it goes in all types of industries and also but in different areas inside a company. You can have HR projects, you can have IT projects, you can have product development projects, you can have change management projects, you can have expansion projects to change it to a new building, a new office, and everything else. And also to give you an idea, and because of course, not sure if you've heard about that, but the United Nations, they have the 17 Sustainable Development Goals there. And why I'm bringing these here? Because each one of those goals, to achieve it, they're going to be most of it driven by projects like no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, infrastructure, projects, affordable and clean energy, infrastructure, projects, Decent work and economic growth. Economic growth, a lot of projects, new product, new service, expanding productions. All those things are projects. So from those 17 goals here, that hopefully most of the companies they see these as valuable, and of course maybe the companies they cannot work to tackle all of them, but at least they can pick one or two and focus and making making a contribution there. All those things are projects. So if you're a manager, and why I'm talking about all those types of project again, because I want to show you again, if you're a manager, it's very unlikely that you're going to have a manager career, director career, and I see even VP, CEO, or whatever, and you're not going to have any relation with projects there. So this is something that you need to know to execute the job itself. However, all those things that are also important to be a manager, to be a good manager, all those top 7 skills that I showed you, let me come back to here again, they are also developed while you are working with projects. Because in the end, communication, and I bring here again another comparison. This is the top 7 skills for a manager, and this is the top 10 skills on demand in 2023, according with the LinkedIn Data Insights. Then you see here, of course, management, and in this case does not make sense because you are looking for a manager, that management does not make sense to be there. But communication, customer service, leadership. By the way, when you look for leadership, you are going to look, this is intrinsically connected with communication, interpersonal skills. It's connected with listening skills, with emotional intelligence, with strategic thinking, decision making, relationship building. Very hard to separate those things from leadership. Sales, project management. Why? Because the here is mentioning project management, but I like when they mention here this organization and project management, because if you have proper project management skills, you are going to understand how you can organize a team to perform. And I understand if you are going to tell me, yeah, but I'm working with Agile, I'm using Scrum, then it should be a self-organized team, which is true. But then if you are going to develop, if you have the project management skill there, you also understand what an Agile leader means to have an Agile team, meaning that you understand the values that you need to develop in your team, like transparency, commitment, courage, all those values that are, for example, they are mentioning also with the Scrum values, but also all those principles that you have in the PMBOK 7 edition. All those things, they're directly connected to make sure that you can create a team that can perform. And again, what you're going to do as a project manager, not that you're going to organize, as I already mentioned, that assign the work for people, but you're going to make sure that those people are heading to the same direction. That's what organization means. It's a self-organizing team, true, but you need to make sure what's your goal, and you need to make sure that you are there to take decisions when they need to adapt. So those are understanding of the project management that also will help you to be a manager. And those are the things that you need to understand to develop a team here. And some interesting story that I'm going to tell you, that when I started my career, I'm an electrical engineer, and then basically the focus during my degree was power systems. And then when I just got out of the work, I got a job as a planning and controlling in engineering procurement and construction projects for substations, basically, which is connected with the power system. Then I ended up being promoted as a project management and so on. I do not want to tell this story again right now. But why I'm mentioning that? Because I was a project manager there, but I had very strong technical skills as an engineer that could leverage my position as a project manager. At the point that sometimes it happened, looking back, I'm not saying that I'm really proud of that, but if there was a team member that was not performing, I could execute the task for him because I had the technical knowledge to take those decisions, to make those decisions by myself if I want to. And that was very good. But when I moved to a different industries, then I did not have the technical knowledge anymore. So that really pushed me and forced me to develop my leadership skills. Then that pushed me to develop a better emotional intelligence because I would need to handle better the situations with my team members. Push me to improve my communication interpersonal skills because right now if my team member was not performing I could not go and do it myself because I do not have the technical knowledge. Right now I'm working with the semiconductor industry, and of course I do have a high level knowledge there. I do understand how the entire chain works and a lot of other things like problem solving, the frameworks, the process itself, but I do not have the technical knowledge to say if we should do that. That means that a lot of my skills like strategical thinking, decision making, I had to sharpen. I've have had because I'm always trying to improve that. Also, I talk about that also a bit on my own framework that I have for my training and also in the mentoring sessions that I do. That I had to sharpen a bit and change the type of project manager that I was. And that was a very positive change because all those things, all those changes, they helped me to develop those other skills here that made possible because in the end I'm a project manager, but as a project manager like in the organization I am right now, I kind of work as a manager, but I do not have anyone reporting to me directly, which makes even more important to develop relationships and to develop these interpersonal skills because I do not have even this power, like if you want to call like that as a manager had to push some leverage there. So working, developing the project management skills that you have there, and when I'm talking about project management, I'm also talking about all the other skills that you need to have there because understanding the project management framework, the project management approach, waterfall, agile, tailoring. This is only part of that you need to do as a project manager because in the end you need to develop your communication skills, emotional intelligence, listening, strategic thinking, decision making, problem solving, relationship building, and all those other skills that you develop in this process. They are going to be great skills to help you to progress into your career. And of course, if you look also in the perspective, all those skills they are in demand, and very likely they are going to be in demand for a long period because I showed you that basically there are projects in our industries, and those projects they products are developing new products, are products expanding capacities, products develop new service or anything that you want to do that's unique. It's project. Those are projects, but also all those goals that you have from the United Nations, they are driven by projects. Even changing culture inside the organization. Like you're talking about, let me choose a random goal. Responsible consumption and production. What's that? Well, you're going to reduce the use of resources, reduce waste, reduce the consumption of water, energy, and everything else. Well, you need to develop more efficient process. You need to develop new technologies. And all those things go via projects. That's why one of the things I like project management also that much, because you can use the skills that you end up developing here as a project manager or working with project management to be a manager. And those skills, if you want, they can put you in any of those areas. They can make you work, push you to work with IT, with events, with movies, with books, or with infrastructure projects, or houses, or constructions products, and everything else. So basically, the possibilities there in developing project management skills, they are endless from where you can go, as long as you develop the right skills. And I'm talking about those endless possibilities. I've worked myself in the energy infrastructure industry. I've worked myself in the automotive, in the supply chain for automotive, developing global supply chains, developing new and expanding the supply chain. I've worked with product development in automotive. I've worked with self-service development in healthcare, and now I'm working with product development in semiconductors. So I've seen different industries, and the only reason how I can succeed on that, and of course I can mention that I end up developing my own framework, and that's one of the things I present in my own training. But one of the things I end up having to develop there is how to improve those skills here to be a manager. Because in the end, you are a project manager, and then you are a manager. Because if you do not have this strategic view about your project, if you cannot organize, you cannot communicate your vision to your team, if you cannot listen the feedback of your team, and you don't have the emotional intelligence to handle those different situations, you're going to have a tough time as a project manager. And that's why, if you want to be a manager, regardless of your position right now, I do recommend you to learn project management. And again, when I'm talking about project management, the frameworks, waterfall, agile, are, are just a piece of that. There's much more about project management when we talk about communication, emotional intelligence, teamwork, analytical skills, problem solving. And those are the kind of things that will make you a good manager, because I'm not sure if you have experience or not, but very likely if you have been working for a few years, you've seen managers working on in companies in different departments, and they do not have those communication skills, they do not have this emotional intelligence, they do not build this relationship, but they do not understand the minimum how a project should work. They do not understand the minimum how they can motivate their teams. And I'm not saying that all the project managers they are end up being very good at that. And I've seen also project managers that they do not understand that. And this is always something that you are going to continue to learn, because people change and you also need to evolve with that. But if you're working as a project manager in a matrix organization, that gets kind of very difficult to push some stuff if you do not have the right interpersonal skills, because you have a team that's assigned by different managers depending on the type of project that you are working on, and you need to make sure that those people are working together. And sometimes things go well and you start to work and you start to develop and you end up with a high performing team, which is something very unique and very amazing to have. And sometimes those things they do not go well. But without the interpersonal skills, it's going to be difficult to be a manager, and by the way, it's also going to be difficult to be a project manager. You cannot just sit there as if you're the most powerful being in the company. So those are essential things. Those are required, in my perspective, if you want to be a manager. And the nice thing that if you are going to have project experience with project management, and when I'm talking about experience, very likely whatever position you are working in any type of company as a manager, you are going to end up seeing and connected with projects. So having this knowledge can help you to leverage your career, to leverage your next step, and also can give you flexibility to move for different industries, for different positions inside of the company, because in the end, if you want to be a director and sometimes you want to be promoted for us, sometimes you have a goal even to be a CEO, you're never going to find a CEO that worked in only one position inside of the company. Why? Because you need to build the skills, you need to go across different parts of the company. And all those things I'm mentioning here that are skills for a manager, but also things that are directly related with project management will help you to build those skills. So I do recommend to you, if you want to progress your career, if you want to go for a managerial position at some point, you also make sure that you learn project management, and if you have the chance, practice that. You can practice even project management in your team. As a manager, like, you likely have an improvement project, all areas they need to improve. You can organize this as a small projects inside of your team and make sure that you're going to deliver this in a successful way. Why? Because if you just leave it there and you tell the team, let's improve it when we have the time, things will not get done. So here, this is my suggestion for you, of course, and hopefully you're convinced that project management is, it transcends industries, it transcends areas, departments in a company, because some projects, they are going to affect several departments, and all types of departments, they can have their own project. Again, from sales, IT, procurement, product development, service development, customer service, and everything else. I hope you like this content. I hope that's useful for you. Make sure that you like and share this content so it can reach more people, and more people can learn about the skills required to be a manager, but also how project management can help you in this journey. If you have questions about project management in general, feel free to reach out and you can comment here in this video, or you can also follow me on Instagram. On Instagram, I basically share daily content, short versions like this one that you are seeing the screen here, but also I have a Q&A box that's open every day that you can ask your questions. I share videos, interesting information, and also some other stuff that I think it's interesting for you, to help you to develop your communication skills, your emotional intelligence, and your leadership. Don't forget here to follow also my channel on YouTube and also on Instagram to get more content. If you have questions, please go ahead, ask it, and make sure that you are also looking to develop yourself and making sure that you are keeping this growth mindset, because that's what's going to lead you to develop all those skills that you need to progress in your career. Hope you like the content. Thank you and see you around. Bye.